Happy Wednesday and happy Juneteenth to everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast and making us a part of your morning. We are a podcast that takes you around the city of Omaha. We introduce you to local business owners, influential people, and people that are making a difference in our community. We are brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. Pixel Fire Marketing is a locally owned marketing company who specializes in website design, creating social media ads, and online advertising. If your business needs help with that, check out pixelfiremarketing.com for more details today. We're on a week-long sprint of me calling on my friends who own businesses to come in and help me do this due to rescheduling, but my good friend Tina Sempeck from Sempeck Real Estate joins us here on the podcast today. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, no problem.
I called you. You picked up and drove over here in a 6-minute notice, so I thank you. I thank you very much for being very flexible today. I want to talk about the real estate game and how you got into it. Your story is very unique. You're an Army veteran. You kind of made a decision right before the pandemic happens to get in this line of work. What was it about that time in your life in 2018 where you decided to become a real estate agent? Why was it the right time to join the industry?
Honestly, I was working for a Fortune 500 company, and I was just killing it in sales, but my max pay that I could really ever accomplish there was about $65,000.
Sure.
And I'm like, if this is it for me, I want out.
Sure.
So I remember he my manager high-fived me. He's like, hey, you're the top 5% of a Fortune 500 company. I'm like, and I'm only making $63,000. Yeah. So that was like we clapped hands and I had a vision. Like I need to go to real estate.
Sure.
That was it.
Why was real estate the right? Is it because you wanted to stay in sales and you knew a little bit about it? Why was it the right time to make?
Well, I grew up. My dad grew up flipping houses.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so we had a lot of construction going on. I loved houses. I've always loved houses. Believe it or not, I grew up in an old Victorian house in Plattsmouth, like in 1900. So
wow.
It was cool when we did the renovation. But I also I knew I was just good at sales. I had a friend in the past who kept telling me to get into real estate, and so that was my yep, I'm doing it finally.
When you grew up in Plattsmouth, how much of it? I think because obviously my sister lives down there, my nieces and nephews grew up in Plattsmouth. Was there ever you guys live out in Gretna now? Was there ever any thought of we don't want to be a part of the big city? Maybe we want to work in the small town, or was it always like get me out of Plattsmouth as soon as possible?
It's funny. It's a small town. But yeah, I mean, I guess I just never envisioned living there the rest of my life. Sure. There's a lot of people who have been there 20, 40 years.
Yeah. My sister never wants to leave. Yeah,
when I go down there too, I still run into people from school. It does have that nice small town vibe. Ironically, we're in Gretna. It's small town-ish.
Sure,
it's definitely booming.
It's trying to change, yeah.
Yeah, but even when we were in the Army and lived in North Carolina, we lived on the outskirts, a small town close to the interstate. When we were in Northwest Omaha, it was it was out there, but we were close to the interstate. So I guess I prefer smaller.
Do you
towns.
What was the calling of the Army for you? Why was it something that you decided to do with your life?
I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to be a part of something big.
Sure.
And when you're just graduating high school, you don't know what you're going to do for the rest of your life.
You think you do, though.
You think you do. And, for me, I'm like, I'm not going to be working at Von Maur,
sure.
Trying to figure it out. And with the military, you could go to college and get that paid for, which I've used the GI Bill numerous times. But that was the big thing for me. I wanted to go out and experience the world. And I did that with one tour to Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that enough for you?
Yep.
When you get back and obviously you and Jason have been married for a long time and you guys decide to start your family and then you decide to make the jump to get into real estate. What did it mean for you to go from being a part of a company that was a Fortune 500 company and very successful, but to go to something that your name is on the front door and it represents you? What was that feeling like when you first kind of start your own business?
I think it feels good as anybody who's listening who is a business owner when you can market yourself and who you are and see your name, because your name is, you got your kids who also share that name.
Sure.
And so maybe one day they can step into those shoes. But it's a really good feeling. It's a feeling of freedom too, because I really don't work well with authority.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't get that vibe at all.
I did not do good in the Army. I always got yelled at because I would be talking to one of the pilots. We'd be really good friends, and hey Karen, we'll just say Karen.
Sure.
Her name.
Yeah.
Very casual, and I would always get yelled at by a sergeant because I wasn't at parade rest or I didn't
User last name.
Correct.
Yeah, gotcha. What is it about? Like, you talked about flipping houses and growing up kind of in the industry. What is it about real estate? Because they're like, everybody knows a real estate agent, everybody knows a lender, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows an insurance person. What is it about the real estate industry that draws so many people to it? Because I think a lot of people look at it and think, oh, if I can sell a car, I can sell a house. Is it as simple as that?
No.
Okay.
And I've actually had a lot of people, they see me doing good.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, Tina's doing great. She's got a nice house, the car, the kids, the pool, all that, all the fun stuff. But I think people, they don't see the behind the scenes and the hustle that goes into it.
I think you could say that about a lot of jobs.
Yeah. I mean, you really have to go out there and you really have to get your clients. I've had a lot of people who wanted to get into real estate. I'm like, it's probably not for you. You almost have to have a very dynamic personality when working with so many different personalities. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was, oh gosh, I lost my train of thought on that. Where was I going?
Yeah, you said for anybody that was trying to get into it, you have to have a dynamic
Oh yeah, I
personality.
mean, it's the hustle, because if you get one deal and it's exciting, but that one deal, you're like, okay, well, that's going to close, and then what?
Yeah.
And then what?
Is that difficult for you?
Not anymore. I kind of got a good flow of things. But a lot of my deals when I was first into real estate, I mean, I was taking every single thing that came across the table.
Sure.
It was a $60,000 land deal. I'm taking it. It was in North Omaha. I'm taking it. Somebody who wants to buy a $50,000 flip house, then
Yeah.
they don't exist anymore.
People are looking, yeah. Somebody just started clicking on your website. So where can I find that at?
Yeah. They don't exist anymore. But yeah, so I mean, it really is. And then you got to be out there and always talking about. I eat, breathe, sleep real estate.
Sure.
Anyone will tell you that of me.
How much different is it now? I mean, obviously you just kind of reference it. You kind of pick and choose a little bit differently now. When did that start happening? When were you like, okay, I don't have to be the person that sells everything. I can kind of pick and choose what I want for my portfolio.
So believe it or not, I actually still do.
Sure. Okay. Because you made it sound like you stopped.
I know. No. I mean, I was just so desperate that that's all there was, and that's all you could take at the time.
Knowing you, I was very surprised that was the case. I don't know if you saw my face when you said it. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. No. I actually. I mean, last month I had 8 in contract, and I think like 4 of them were about $80,000 flip projects for investors.
Congrats.
Yeah, and then some were first-time home buyers, some were sellers. So I've had a mix of things. I honestly love real estate, and I'll go anywhere and everywhere within reason.
You focus on the residential side of things. Have you ever dipped your toe into the commercial side of things?
I have.
How much different are those two things? Because I don't know anybody that's ever done both.
Residential is, for the most part, I would say emotional. Right? Because you have somebody who's been with their house for 20 years and now they're selling it.
Or finding their forever home.
First-time home buyers, extremely emotional. The process is. So, but commercial, we always joke, it's kind of the wild, wild west. And I've dabbled in probably maybe about 6 million total in sales in commercial.
Is that a low number?
That's a pretty low number. Oh, okay. Yeah. For a commercial real estate agent, for sure. So I don't consider myself a commercial real estate agent, but I've helped friends get businesses.
Sure.
It's the wild, wild west. So they don't advertise like we do, like residential. You put it up on the MLS, as we call it, and then it blasts out to like Zillow, Realtor. So it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
With commercial, it's very different. It might be, you have to really have relationships with agents. So I created some pretty good relationships to help my client at the time find his commercial out there in Iowa, because I'm licensed in both Nebraska and Iowa. But yeah, completely different, and it's all about numbers. There's no real emotions into it.
I was gonna say, is it fair to say commercial is just like there's just no passion about it? It's just we need this. Here's a spot. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah. Just burn and turn.
We're catching up with Tina Sempeck from Sempeck Real Estate with the EXP Real Estate Group here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. If somebody is thinking about getting their real estate license, what are some maybe misconceptions about the industry when you're first getting? What's something that you know today that you didn't know maybe back in 2018?
Well, it's funny. I've actually had a lot of young kids in my life that are graduating and asking about real estate. So I think one of the biggest things people ask, like, well, how do you get your real estate license? Getting your real estate license is pretty easy. I think what people forget is, okay, you also are starting your own business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the probably cheapest business to start, right? Because at the end of the day,
There's no
couple
real
yard
overhead.
signs. Yeah, there's no real overhead. I mean, you can get a website on GoDaddy.com for $25 a
You
month.
can call Pixel Fire Marketing.
You can call Pixel Fire
build
Marketing,
you a
which
website.
I was told I should call.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
So yeah, so I mean, but it is a business. So I would say starting up, because you're going to need your cards, your signs, etc. Have 5,000 to start up.
Sure.
That's a
really
lot
small
of
for business.
That is small for a business. It's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could really start off with a couple $100, to be honest. A couple signs and some cards, and go from there.
How, and this is something we've asked several different industries, whether it be a painter, whether it be a construction worker. We asked Marty Cordero from Warner Park this. How cutthroat is your industry? Because it feels like when you have, listen, there's only about 1,000 houses for sale in Omaha right now, right? And it feels like there's about 10,000 real estate agents. But anytime you walk into an open house, somebody's like, "Oh, if you have a real estate agent, that's great." Is it like that behind the scenes, or people like? And I'm sure it's different in every case, but is the industry as a whole pretty much help yourself, but help others if you can?
Gosh, I really wish I had the numbers. A lot of real estate agents don't even succeed in their first year.
Sure.
I'm fortunate. I honestly do work with a lot of top producing realtors. But I mean, and I go to them for advice and everything. So they're honestly, a lot of people that I work with are great people. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty cutthroat. If you're working with a realtor, I have to respect that, and I won't pursue that.
Is that difficult sometimes?
Sometimes there's
Does it
people.
depend on who the real estate
It just
agent
depends who the real estate agent is. Because I've had people say, "I'm working with a realtor." They'll tour the house, and then they start asking me all these questions. They're like, "Oh, wow, I was never told that." You know,
Yeah,
I
sure.
didn't know that there was a down payment and closing costs. I didn't know you could get your closing costs covered.
What do you think is the most frequently asked question you get asked?
In real estate,
Yeah.
like from buyers.
I'm a little curious as to what if we're not talking about
Yeah.
real estate too.
Well,
from if somebody's buying a house and you're the closing agent for it, what's the most frequently asked question you get asked?
I don't know if it's even really that they're asking the right questions. It's more just giving them the right information.
Sure.
A lot of people don't even know what to ask.
That's a good point.
So like for instance, if you're a first time home buyer, like I said, there are two things you need to consider are going to be your down payment and your closing costs. Can we get closing costs covered? Depends. What price point are you at?
Right.
If you're in the 200s right now,
Probably not.
probably not. However, not impossible, because we are finding them. We are finding things off market. We're finding maybe houses that are overpriced or sit longer, and then we can kind of navigate our clients into that property and get their closing costs paid.
You mentioned you do both Iowa and Nebraska. What are some of the differences when we're talking about purchasing homes in the two states, or is it kind of same?
I mean, it's pretty the same. The paperwork is backwards, which I won't bore the audience with that.
Sure, thank you. We just lost 10 viewers. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But overall, the biggest thing, and this is why I got my Iowa license, was for a buddy of mine who wanted a commercial deal. It was a multi-million-dollar deal, so why wouldn't I get licensed in
Sure.
Iowa?
Yeah, makes sense. Checks out.
Yeah. But the other reason is you would not believe how many people are they're wanting to get out of Nebraska but still be close because they work there, and they want those lower taxes.
Yeah. If how difficult is it to get licensed in multiple states?
It's not that hard.
Okay.
Yeah.
If
It's a one test.
if we're talking about the journey of your career up until this point, 2018, you kind of have a little bit of a boom. Global-wide pandemic happens. We kick out of it, and now we're seeing this explosion in Gretna and the city, in Elkhorn, the city of Omaha. We just saw a bunch of land be sold very cheap down in North Omaha recently in the past couple of weeks. What is like? Has there been a period where this was the right decision? Has there been a period maybe it's as a pandemic breaks out, as maybe it was a little scary and maybe we jumped off the wrong cliff?
No. So the pandemic happened for everyone else but realtors.
Sure, because you had
So I make the joke because
incentive checks and stimulus checks and things like that.
Well, yeah, and
everybody moved out of California.
Yeah, they did, and it was booming. We were,
Sure.
I mean, we were having lines of people. Half the people didn't know what to do. Half had masks, half had gloves, half had gloves and masks. You know, you'd wait for one person to tour, going through the other, but it was booming. I did a ton of houses during the pandemic. But yeah, I mean, honestly, with every, I guess, season, we'll say, of real estate, you just adjust. So, now we got it was the pandemic. Now it's the interest rates hurdle. You just adjust to it.
Is it difficult for you to do that? Like, because I think from the outside looking in, when you're a buyer, it's okay, this is what the market is, and then okay, the market changes. Is it as simple as you've been doing it long enough that you're expecting it now and you just got to stay ahead of the curve, or do you struggle with the constant change of the market?
I kind of love it. I have a lot of children.
You flourish in chaos?
I live in chaos.
Yeah.
So the real estate market's really no different. The military was kind of chaotic too. I do good under pressure. I do good under chaos. Probably the best way to put that.
Where are you the most uncomfortable? If you flourish in chaos, where are you the most uncomfortable in a business sense?
In a business sense, podcasts.
Sure. Welcome in. Thanks for being here.
I guess that's what would be my weakness.
You told me the story, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, because this was a private conversation. But you've had men stop by at open houses and make comments to you about certain things. How do you deal with that situation? Because unfortunately, it's not all that uncommon, and I think it's worth talking about.
It is worth talking about, especially as a woman in real estate.
Yeah.
I've even gotten inappropriate pictures for the sake of this conversation. I've had inappropriate pictures. I had a guy that I talked to at open house. They seemed a nice family, and then the guy started hitting on me. You just shut it down. Hey, I'm probably not a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Let me
introduce you to my friend Mark that sells real estate. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, it definitely happens. I mean, it probably happens to a lot of women in other industries.
Yeah, and for my kind, I'm sorry. Let me apologize.
For
the general masses out there. Man, when you told me that story, I was just completely baffled, because, and maybe because people are idiots, but in a sense, for a lot of people, you're making the biggest investment of your life, and that's what's going through your mind. That's just incredible to me, and
it's not uncommon.
It should be unbelievable, but for several reasons, it's not. If that's the low point,
yeah, that's the low point.
Let's hope it is. What's the best part about being a real estate agent for you?
Flexibility, with my kids. Because I mean,
being able to get out of the gym 6 minutes later, be on a podcast, sure.
This is kind of a slower day for me. Yeah. Jimmy, I'll be there in 6 minutes. I'm gross and sweaty, but yeah.
Appreciate you.
But yeah, I think flexibility, and I think that's why a lot of people want to get into real estate, is to be a part of that, and have that time with their kids. I think, and Jason and I always joke, because he's like, I don't know how you do it, because I work from home.
And you guys met in the military, correct?
No, we met in high school.
Oh wow, okay, I didn't.
Yeah, we met in high school, but that's always the joke, because I always, we joke and say we met in the military, because people do assume that or expect that. But no, we were both in the military, and then we went into the army together.
I have four friends that were both in the military, and they met their spouse.
Yeah,
through.
No, that was every one of our friends.
Sure.
So it's not uncommon, but. Yeah. So where was it? Oh yeah. So Jason always jokes. He's like, if I had your job, because he does a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
He's like, if I had your job, I would not be able to get up out of the bed, not watch TV.
It's hard. I'm sure it's hard some days.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, you're a business owner. You know, you have to get yourself up. You have to.
And not that this isn't about me, but I think that was my biggest struggle when I shifted from the 9 to 5 to being strictly a broadcaster. And I think this is something that my wife has struggled with a little bit too, because I am readily available, right? And she's at home with 3 kids. It's like, no, I have to walk out of the door. Otherwise, I'm gonna put in 3 hours of Sports Center right now. And that's not gonna help anybody. Was that a big jump for you when you first started, or you've got a really high work ethic, so maybe not?
And I mean, I love working. I love what I do.
Same.
So it's not hard. It's not hard for me to I mean, there's days when I'm like, okay, you know what? I've overdone it. But our job isn't a 9 to 5. We are truly around the clock. Yeah. I mean, I've had deals accepted at midnight. I've had writing an offer at 10 o'clock, or showing a house at 8 p.m., or, going super early in the morning. So we are around the clock. I think the hardest thing for me is to
shut it off.
the last 2 years, I've really done a good job of a work-life balance. I've been trying to get that down. So,
well, let's talk about that. We're catching up.
Yeah.
We're catching up with Tina Sempeck of EXP Real Estate here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing. This is something we ask all of our guests, and I'd love to get your thoughts on it because you spend a lot of you have a really heavy focus on working out and taking care of yourself. You're a wife, you're a mother, you're a business owner, you're a veteran. How do you balance all of it?
I think that was the kicker 2 years ago for me. I was killing my body. I was drinking all the time because it's not hard to go out on a Tuesday with some lenders, having some drinks.
And there's more bars in the city per capita than anywhere else in the world, so that doesn't help.
Yeah. So and it came down to like my body I was unhealthy. I was inflamed. I was just like, and then I wasn't loving myself. So when I can love myself, they're like, I know it's so weird, but now that I'm 36, I'm pushing 40, I get some of these things that people spill into your life. When you can truly,
older people do know what they're
they
talking
do.
about.
Like when you can love yourself and whatever that is, then you can truly love everything else around you.
Yeah.
Your kids, your husband, your industry. And I've noticed in the last 2 years, after like taking care of myself, it boosts your energy, your confidence. But you have to carve out that time because your children will suck the life out of you.
As a father of 3 kids under 3.
Yes,
And my wife just liked this video, so she'll appreciate this. We understand.
We understand. I've got 3 kids myself and a foster kid. We do foster, so we do take in kids randomly, sometimes in the middle of the night.
How big of a deal is that for you?
We love it.
Yeah.
My husband had a rough life growing up.
And he tricked you into this. You can say it. It's
He
fine.
tricked me into this. Yeah. Yeah. So Jimmy and I had the conversation before. He found a loophole. I had my tubes tied. I was done with kids. We had Oliver in a 6-year gap after the other 2. And then he's like, let's have another one. I'm like, well, I can't. And then there was
Remember
fostering.
this surgery thing?
Yeah. But the nice thing with the foster kids, they've honestly been a blessing, even to my children. But they're in situations that they don't want to be in these situations. Somebody. Yeah. So it's just a nice change of environment. And sometimes they're 5 days, sometimes they're 2 years. We've had a mix of.
Is that difficult? When you have them shorter term, is it harder to bring somebody into your life and then, for lack of better term, relinquish them?
Okay, so you
I think that's where I would
haven't been to my new house.
Yeah.
But well, I don't know since the pool's been in.
I haven't been there since then.
But my house is full of kids all the time.
Oh, okay. So
they all come back.
Sometimes
to me.
you forget they're
I'm
there.
not even joking. I have one girl, I love her. She's at my house right now.
Okay.
She's back. They transitioned back to mom, which is great.
She was a foster.
Yep, she was a foster kid for a year. She transitioned back to mom. And I've always had a good relationship with the parents too. Mm-hmm. I'm not there to judge them.
Sure. And I'm sure in some situations it's difficult, but I'm sure there are situations where
I've been
this person
fortunate.
is trying.
Yeah, I've been fortunate that I've had good relationships, and I want to talk to them, and I want to help them with their kids and whatnot. But yeah, so no, it's like it's on a Saturday. I had one time it was like probably 3 different kids that have lived with me at some point just show up.
Well, it's a big deal for me too because I don't know if we've ever had this conversation. My oldest sister was in the foster system when she was younger, and her foster mom is still very much involved in their life. They spend holidays together and all that, and she was only there for a very short period of time to the point where like their family is essentially my family too, just because I've kind of ipso facto grown up with them because she spent so much time with them. And that's actually why she lives down in Plattsmouth because they're based out of Plattsmouth.
I love that.
So. It's a huge deal and it's been an impact on my family. It's something Aaron and I have always kind of kicked around much later in life when our kids are out of diapers. But I think the foster system gets such a bad rap, and sometimes rightfully so, because there's obviously been some instances. But where you have a home where people can come back to, I think that says more about you than just being a foster parent would.
Yeah, and I mean... And two, if anyone is considering it, there's a huge need for it. But you do get to meet the children. You do get to see what their background is like, So you can kind of, I don't want to say pick and choose, but you can see what best fits your family.
Sure, and I think that's important for not only you but for the kid as well.
For us, it's been teens. A lot of people don't take in the teens, and we love taking in the teens.
Is that why?
I don't know why they don't like taking in the teens.
No, I mean, is that why you guys focus on it? Because you know the needs there?
Yeah, we know the needs there. And I love being able to, like, I don't know, at that point in their life, it's a huge transition into adulthood. Mm-hmm. Also, I don't have to change diapers. You know,
It's fun.
If I need to go show a house,
Sure.
they can stay by themselves. They'll be okay.
That's a good point.
But I also, there's a lot of young teens that are just, they're thirsty for growing up and being out there and experiencing life. So, I mean, there's a lot
And
of times
seeing somebody be successful is obviously a big help.
So I get to share a lot of my life with them, and then hopefully that inspires them. And
I want to get back to real estate real quick before we wrap this up. Because I think you brought up what it takes to start your own business, and when you become a real estate agent, that's some of the biggest misconception. What are the benefits of being on a team like your team in EXP Real Estate, and how does that kind of dictate how you do your job to some degree?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I work with a lot of top producers at EXP.
Which one don't you like the most? No, you don't have to answer that.
You know, I don't even know if there's one that I don't like.
Sure, that's a good answer.
We actually meet every even Tuesday just on our own. We all meet up, and we're always just bouncing ideas off of each other. We work separately, obviously, because I'm Sempeck Real Estate, and then you've got your other.
But you're under this umbrella.
But we're under the same EXP umbrella. It's a cloud-based brokerage. So we have shares and stocks in the company, a little bit more money in our pocket.
Sure.
But the people that I work with are truly they're badass, if I can say that.
Sure.
They're top
Drop
producing.
all the expletives you want. They're not gonna FCC
they're
regulations
top
here.
producing, and they're it's great. We all just feed off of each other and just bounce off ideas, or even if we're in a tough situation, like they'll try this, a house that won't sell, try this, So it's great having a community of people that even though we operate separately, we still collaborate together.
When we were writing your bio, you said that one of your biggest goals is to create generational wealth and to leave a legacy for your kids. When you talk about growing up in Plattsmouth and working in the military and basically working your entire life, when you talk about having generational wealth, what does that look like for you?
I mean, I think that's kind of every parent's goal, right? To set your kids up for success. But for me, I want to be able to build a business, build an empire, and, my son or my daughter can step into those shoes and do the business. And because there's so much freedom in being a business owner. So I guess that's where it comes from. As a realtor, I've done probably everything in real estate. I've done the flipping. I have rental properties.
Which one do you like the best?
Flipping.
Yeah. Why?
Because
you're the third real estate agent we've had in. It's been 3 different answers, so I think.
Really?
I think that's interesting.
Yeah, no, it's wham bam, thank you, ma'am, in and out. Rentals, people are just so needy with rentals.
You'd say people suck. It's fine.
Yeah, they do. they tear up your property, and I mean, I have some good tenants. I have a guy that I wouldn't let him go for nothing. He's wonderful, just kind of.
Which is the dream, right?
It's the dream. Can I get Dennis every time?
Sure.
And some people do really good with managing rental properties. It's not my strong suit.
We've mentioned your wonderful, esteemed husband several times throughout this podcast.
That guy.
How much is Jason involved in that part of the business?
Oh, well, there's times when I'm like, hey, we're buying a house. And he's like, okay, and where do I sign?
Yeah.
And then there's also times where I'm like, also, we have to clean out the house.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I mean,
get a broom.
Yeah, I don't involve him too much on my business side of things. But he's been so.
But when you're a business owner and you have a spouse,
he's been so supportive.
Right? Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. And he's how we met. So
yeah,
I thank him for that. We're about to hit that half-hour mark where we kind of wrap things up. Is there anything about EXP Real Estate that in your business that we haven't mentioned that you'd like
the only thing I want to mention is everyone asks when's the best time to buy. If you can buy a house. I mean, I'm not saying that just because I'm a realtor. I really, truly mean that. If you can afford it, buy it.
Well, we appreciate you being here today. On very, 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 very short notice. We did get a late start today, so we're wrapping up at noon today instead of 12:30. We do have a confirmed guest for tomorrow. Shay from Tactical 88 Tactical is going to join us to talk about the range and everything they're adding on over there. We're excited to catch up with him. And then my good friend Doug Nodgard from Equitable Bank will be with us on Friday to wrap up the week. However you celebrate Juneteenth, hopefully you have the day off and are getting paid for it and enjoying your Wednesday. We'll catch up with you tomorrow at 11 o'clock here on the Spotlight Omaha podcast, brought to you by Pixel Fire Marketing.
Done?
Dude, appreciate you.